you can already see it's a very big and important panel. So thank you for being here. Today we are going to talk about the importance of personalized medicine. And we are very lucky to have 4 panelists, each of them doing amazing things, but from different perspectives. So first of all, I would like to briefly introduce each of them to you and then to ask them to share their vision and their company's vision around personalized medicine. So first of all, I will introduce Dr. Ali Tinzali, who had spent his life at the convergence of bioscience, healthcare, and technology. He has a PhD at the Johann Wolfgang von Goethe University, if I'm not mistaken, and also studied business in the US at MIT and Berkeley. And currently he's CEO of Lifespin, an amazing company looking into metabolomics. We also have Dr. John Thompson-Smith, who is the senior medical advisor at Rejuve, and also a medical doctor with huge experience, and also having extensive experience in technology. He will share details. My friend Tony, 15 years on the Wall Street, experience in venture capital, and managing as a CEO the most dynamic genomic company in the United States. And of course, Ibrahim Al-Maglouth, who is the population health manager in the most courageous projects, I say, in the world, meaning in NEOM. So first of all, Ali, please share with us, which is the vision of Lifespin?
The vision is to build an omni-intelligent health software. How does it work? We are taking patient blood sample, we scan the blood sample in a couple of minutes. In the scanning process, we quantitatively capture hundreds of metabolomic parameters. These parameters constitute the phenotype of the patient. Look at this phenotype as an information layer. It depends what you want to do with it. So this information layer can be used for checkup medicine in preventative care. This information layer can be used for diagnosis, especially diagnosis of complex diseases. And this information layer can be also used for monitoring treatment success. So, and we have the first products now coming out in checkup medicine, which is a general health assessment software tool, and a lipoprotein profiler with particle size information, which tells you your risk for heart attack, stroke, and insulin resistance.
Okay, so Tony, I will pass the discussion to you and tell us, please, more details about your company.
Thank you. It's really great to be here. I would say that our mission is pretty simple. It's to positively impact 1 billion lives in the next 20 years through the power of genetics. I mean, personally, as an investor, I think that genetics is the future of healthcare. And if we're going to truly transition the world system from a sick care to a preventative care system, the only way you're going to be able to do it is to personalize it. And the only way you can personalize medicine is to incorporate genetic mapping.
Yeah, and I believe that both what you and Ali are doing are focused on building health plans, like we are used to finance plans. And any health plan comes or starts with information and health data. So, John, would you share more about Rejuve's vision on data, on health data?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Alex. Morning, everybody. Yeah, Rejuve is might be new to some of you. It's a decentralized healthcare data platform. It's exciting times because the definitive app is about to launch. We've got about 5,000 users on the beta test app at the moment. And you may wonder why, because obviously with Apple Health and Garmin and Fitbit and Whoop and the Oura Ring, but this is an all-encompassing app that will track your data. So you connect your wearables, you can add in your biomarkers, your blood testing parameters, your genetic data, your genetic profiling. So it's an all-encompassing app. And really the USP is the fact that for the first time you will be rewarded for your data, which is only right. I'm an avid Garmin wearer and a Strava addict, but nobody pays you for your data and you own that data. So it's very important in terms of monetization of data, which is why Rejuve have been fairly revolutionary in their RJV token, which is a cryptocurrency which will be available to see on your personal app as part of a crypto wallet. And the more data you put in, the more crypto you will get back. So it's incentivization for submitting your data, which is extremely important. And I think that is why this company will do extremely well. And it's really exciting times. So in terms of personalization, I'm sure we'll talk about this, we'll get onto this later, but it's really drilling down into all of your metrics. So your physiological biomarkers, your molecular biomarkers, and it's putting everything into one and getting the AI feedback and getting those insights back through the application. So it's a really interesting product.
So actually, each of you is tackling personalized medicine from a different perspective, but still converging on a very similar vision. Still, each of you are very much focused on the individual. We avoid to call or use the term patient. Still, I would like to invite Ibrahim to share with us what would look like a vision that means building from scratch an entire new healthcare architecture around personalized medicine, and share a little bit of the amazing story that NEOM is putting forward.
Thank you so much, Alex, and thank you for giving us this opportunity. For those who doesn't know NEOM is a new region in the northwest of Saudi Arabia between Jordan and Egypt. It's the size of Belgium, and it's built to reimagine livability for human mankind. The region is composed, or the NEOM is built through a NEOM company, which is composed of different sectors. Each sector contribute to the livability of an individual person. Health and well-being, where I serve as a clinical information officer, dedicate their mission to add a healthy lifespan to an individual clients, for whether NEOM people or people enrolled in the program. What we had to do in order to actually be able to achieve that is to address all these amazing innovation under one umbrella. So what we try to do is, in order to have a healthy lifespan, we believe that we need to address all your determinants of health, not just sick care, but your health and well-being, particularly your genomics, your behavior, your environmental part, and through a proactive, preventative, and hyper-personalized approach. But in order to do that realistically, you need to have all the components of an ecosystem. So we're building the provider, regulator, and the insurance system that can actually finance and pay for all of these amazing solutions. So at the end of the day, what we are trying to do is actually create an ecosystem where well-being is the focus by design, and there is incentives to do that, and the incentives are aligned between every part of that ecosystem. And we believe that if we succeed in this model, it can be basically shared with the whole globe, as a successful model to shift the management from sick care that is currently still the existing model, whether we like it or not, and move toward more preventative, personalized approach and accelerate all the adoption of these amazing innovations.
That's amazing. Tony, I know that your company has an incredible growth, over 80%, if I'm not mistaken, year by year, and is the fastest growing genomics company in the US. What's the secret behind such an amazing speed you have?
We are actually growing at over 80%. This will be our third consecutive year growing at over 100%. And there's a saying on Wall Street that the numbers don't lie. And I think that the secret to our success is very simple. It's driving patient outcomes. You know, the bar is so low today on the patient experience with their physicians, with their hospitals, with the whole medical system, that if you can just deliver a decent experience, you're way ahead of your competitors. But if you can deliver an exceptional experience, my bet is you win the whole market. But you gotta seriously move and jump both feet into preventative care. I mean, you know, we have a lot of focus now in investments, billions and billions of dollars on high penetrance genes, cancer space, which I've been very much part of. But we need to remember 85% of diseases are lifestyle based, which means it's 100% preventable. So I would say that the way that you deliver that experience for the patient is it's got to, again, be personalized. And so from a first principles perspective, nothing is more foundational than someone's genetics. And if you can come up with a report where they can look at it and actually understand it, it's extremely powerful, because from what I see is a switch turns on and they're looking at this report where out of 8+ billion people, no one else, unless they're an identical twin, has the same report. And the light switch literally turns on, and it's kind of like they can't lie to themselves. So if they truly want to better their day-to-day operating life, that's how you start affecting behavioral change.
So let's dive deeper. And Adli, we talk about the importance of lifestyle in the impact of our health. And if I look at Lifespin, I see an AI and data-driven company, and I want to understand what kind of role can the metabolomics play in understanding very complex diseases and look into the underlying determinants behind them.
So there are two layers in the metabolome. The first layer is basically your day-to-day lifestyle, your environmental factors. That's something you can basically resolve within a couple of weeks of course correction, so to say. But then there is a deeper layer of things happening in the metabolome, which then results in complex diseases, maybe cardiovascular diseases or oncological diseases, and this all starts with inflammation. So basically, if you keep monitoring your lifestyle, and if you don't practice a good lifestyle, then it will ultimately cause inflammation, which then will cause downstream effects. I'm performing my own longitudinal study, so once a month I get my full general health assessment done. Then I can also see my impact on, impact of intense travels, for example, jet lag, whatnot, drives my health score down. But I can recover from it, and I can recover within a couple of weeks. So basically, it's important to differentiate these two layers, because layer one is for day-to-day, but that's really more in the field of prevention and lifestyle monitoring. But the layer two, which is about actual diseases, complex diseases, and understanding the root cause and the type of disease. But important is, no matter what, access to health information is key. For example, we started a clinical study in Madagascar, very low resource environment, because we want to prove the point that AI can help to reduce healthcare cost. And for example, when we generate a digital profile from an individual, and I agree, I don't call them patients. If we get a digital profile from an individual, the cost to get this profile is less than a pizza margarita, less than 10 euros. This, from our standpoint, is the foundation to make personalized medicine accessible, which also includes affordability for all.
You mentioned clinical trials, and when it comes to healthcare, research plays a tremendous important role. John, how can we engage individuals in decentralized science or decentralized trials, or which kind of trials do you look at?
Great words from Ali there, and I think he's just hit the nail on the head with regards to N of 1 trials, which is essentially trialing an individual and trialing yourself, and that's not a new concept. That has been around since the late 80s, actually. 1986, I think, was the first reported case of an N of 1 trial. And you may wonder why that's important. We know that the gold standard for clinical research is a randomized controlled trial, but we also know that that comes at a great expense in terms of finances and also time as well. And one potential benefit of the Rejuve application is actually trialing yourself. So you can make an intervention in your lifestyle, whatever it may be, as Ali's just mentioned, and then you can obviously look at your biomarkers on the app and see how those changes have been made. And it might be a nutritional change, it may be an activity change that you've done, and you can make that intervention. You can assess that for 4 to 6 weeks and then stop and then trial something else, and you can actually just track it yourselves. So N of 1 trials is really the way forward, and I think that this will, again, as Ali says, with the help of artificial intelligence, I think this is really the way things are going, because there is no better trial than trialing yourself. So yeah, great points, but I think Ali's already hit the nail on the head there, and I feel like I need to go and get a well-man check now after what he's just said.
Perhaps the cheapest intervention is to skip dinner. People eat too much, really.
Ibrahim, at NEOM, I'm sure you look at so many different solutions, and I'm sure that AI plays an important role. And I want to ask you, if you were to look into, let's say, genomics, what would be the first thing that we as individuals could benefit using both AI and genomic data? What kind of relevant information we could extract? So what would be the first thing to look into?
That's a very good point. Over the last couple of years, we've been busy planning and designing a lot of the systems, component, financing, etc. And this year, we moved into more piloting and testing the integration of different things. And that will be the focus of next year. I can tell you that the initial focus is, I would say, the baseline state. From an evidence perspective, scientifically, the state of well-being is something that we all talk about, but it's not very well defined and articulated when it comes to the granularity. You can have general description of what well-being looks like, what health looks like, but when you go to the granular component of what does that look like from a genomic perspective, what does that look like from metabolomic perspective, what is the molecular signature of that, what is the clinical variable, what are the clinical phenotype for that, all these things are yet to be more delineated and explained. So what we focus on at the moment is trying to define that state, including all different domains around an individual person from different data sources, and try to integrate that with basically the recommendation library on what they need to do in order to modify that part. So I think that that's a very important foundation of a whole system. Second part, of course, is to address the most priority conditions within your community. We're not very huge community at the moment, but linking that state of well-being all the way to the development of disease and how you can navigate an individual around that part. I think the end result is for you as a client, you need to understand, first of all, when you share your information, you need to have a benefit. Beside the financial part, which is an important one, is really what should I do next? Where does that take me? And I think the trick and the hardest part now goes beyond the information, but on the action from the ecosystem in order to have the impact that you want to achieve with these insights. So I think that that's a very important part that we're trying to master and develop over the next period of time. So to answer you, well-being state is the most important focus at the moment.
So, you know, all these perspectives are as good as any of us would be able to tackle into our lives. So let's try to imagine in anyone's journey. Let's take, for example, Marina here, our friend, and how would her journey look like in embracing any of your technologies? Let's start with you, Tony. So let's take Marina, and she is to order a kit from your company. She will receive it. What happens next?
Yeah, so I would actually say that the patient journey from a clinical perspective would be the doctor would order the test for the patient. It would just be a simple cheek swab. It's literally a 5-minute registration process. It takes about 3 weeks for the report to be generated. And then the doctor would then sit down with the patient to go over the genetic report. Now, that sounds very simple, but it is the biggest challenge. Like I was in a meeting with a medical director who did a genetic test himself, and it was 304 pages. What are you going to do with 304 pages, both as a doctor? He didn't even read it, you know? So you have to come up with a report that is easily digestible for the doctor to then be able to make the right conversation to the patient, and also for the patient to then look at the report and fully understand it themselves. So I think that once you make that connection, then you know where to focus on. So if someone is predisposed to inflammation, detoxification, for example, and they're overweight, well, there is an overweight resistance gene, you know, a variation out there, but what we see is whether they have that gene or they don't have that gene, if they have detoxification and inflammation issues, for example, no matter what it is that they're trying to do to lose weight, unless you solve the, you know, upper stream issue, you'll never see the right results, and that's the power of having the right information.
So concise information is one of the most relevant aspects. So, Ali, okay, so I understand Tony's perspective, but again, coming back to Marina, if she is to use LifeSpin solutions, how would her journey look like?
So Marina provides us a blood sample, can be serum, plasma, half a milliliter. We scan the blood sample, takes a couple of minutes, and within a day, she gets 2 reports.
One day?
Yeah, 1 day. Actually, the actual technical step takes a couple of minutes, plus 10 minutes in silico assessment time. But to keep it real with logistics, let's say 1 day. So the next morning, she gets 2 reports, if she wants to. First is a general health assessment, so it's a health compass, which shows then in the dashboard view if she has, for example, elevated inflammation or other elevated markers which may be area of concern, which then informs through a clinician. So we are not B2C, it goes through a provider, the same as here. You need to order this test through a physician, but then you get basically actual information in the sense of that it's a good summary, but ultimately it's a decision support system, because it's like an MRT scan. You see things which can lead you to more steps. Second is the lipoprotein profile with the particle sizing gives the information if you have elevated risk for heart attack or stroke.
So amazing, all this data coming from your companies and being received by Marina, then Marina should go to Rejuve and bring all this information in your platform. And
yeah, absolutely. I mean, sign up to the Rejuve AI app. It's very, very simple. You connect your wearable device, whatever it may be. As I've said, if you wish to, if you've had a blood profile or a genetic profile with Tony, you can upload that data as well. And all the time you will be receiving AI insights into recommendations into your health and well-being. And at the same time, you are accruing crypto. So those tokens can then be used in exchange for other health and well-being services, whether it be supplements or a spa weekend, even air miles, because we've partnered with a number of travel companies as well. So for Marina, the journey is very, very simple because the app is actually good fun. You know, I've got the beta test app on my phone myself, and it's just nice to use. It's very straightforward and very easy. And sorry, can I just ask a quick question to Tony?
sure.
Tony, which doctor should do the consultation with the genetic reports? The reason I say that is that in the UK, this is very new, as you know. Do you think a family doctor or a general practitioner would be comfortable doing this, or does it need to be a genetic specialist, or which doctor has the consultation?
That is such a great question. And my belief is that you have to make the physician or the practitioner, anyone that is helping a patient, be able to have comfort in digesting the report. That is the only way you're going to scale. So I would argue that a lot of the companies that are using genetic counselors, for example, to do the interpretations to help, that's just simply not scalable, and that there's probably maybe less than 100 real good genetic counselors in the world right now. So that's been a big part of our success. Is in the last 2.5 years, we went from 0 practitioners on our platform to over 5,000 now, and they're effectively our promoters, you know. But they're seeing the outcome and the patient satisfaction and seeing their businesses grow like crazy. So you absolutely have to make sure that the doctor is basically the quasi-geneticist. Thank you for the question.
Yeah, thanks, Tony.
Okay, so as a closing, let's say, final words. Ibrahim, Marina is moving to NEOM. And, you know, she has all this kind of already medical history with her. Would she be able to use and get benefit from previously obtained information?
Thank you for leaving that to me. Well, I'm going to share some of the journeys for you, Marina. First of all, welcome to NEOM. We're committed to enable you to have a healthy lifespan. Let me introduce the team to you. You're going to have Margot, who's your metahuman, and Margot will look after your day-to-day health concierge function. As part of this journey, we need to understand you more. So we'll request some information from your side. And don't worry, we'll cover you from the finances perspective. By the way, all your information that you got in the past, we'll be able to upload them if you consented to. Secondly, we arrange for you, we see that your calendar schedule is free tomorrow. We arrange for you a couple of tests to be done at home. We're also happy to send it to your workplace if you want. That includes your genetic testing and your metabolic testing. And we will follow up on the results. You don't need to worry about anything. Enjoy the ride and enjoy NEOM.
Amazing.
Me too.
Thank you so much. They offered you, you know, a short journey into the future, but it's not a future after 10 years. It's a future that starts today. Thank you.